finding a temporal structure is kind of the heart of almost every documentary. And this one was challenging because the story itself had broken, but there were still so many things happening. I mean, there were going to be things happening as a result of this story for a decade because there was just a giant trove that they uncovered. And halfway through shooting, one of the journalists was assassinated, and we started to deal with that.
Happened while you were shooting?
Oh yeah, like bang in the middle of production. So, you know, there were a lot of things that were breaking while we were going. So for me, I felt like it was important to track the arc of the journalist, some of which was retrospective, things that had already happened, with things that were currently happening, and then balance that against, as you said, these themes of why it was important, why it mattered. But I also wanted to do that I want the audience to take a journey, because it's a movie at the end of the day, right? It's not a magazine article. So I really wanted the audience to experience what it was like to cover this story and have the kind of slow creeping realization of what this thing meant on a bigger scale, just like that had happened to the journalists who worked on the story. I think very few of them came into it, even if they were well-versed in offshore tax evasion or things that may seem kind of dry or not that interesting. And pretty much to a man, you could see them, the light bulb go off, go, oh, this is about something so much bigger than that.
How hard was it for you to pinpoint that and to ride that line? Because I think so often, and even your journalists in this say that at one point, offshore tax havens, we've explored that before, so what?
Yeah.
So how hard was it for you as a filmmaker to make sure that you hammered home how important this is, while at the same time maybe not lingering too long on it and maintaining interest and entertainment?
Right, yeah, I think that's the balance is, you know, most documentaries that I've made, and I think in general, you often don't want to be super direct. You know, you're finding other ways of conveying something. With this one, I felt that the underlying issues were so difficult to understand on one hand, and yet so incredibly simple on the other, that I did take a more direct approach and just come right out and say, this is what's going on.
These are the consequences of
exactly.
tax evasion.
Why does it matter to you? What is, you know, and I think that sort of core theme that no, it's not that the rich are just not paying taxes on their money, it's basically theft of your resources. They're reaching into your pocket. They're taking away your health care, taking away your ability to have an education, to have clean water, to sort of living in a functioning society globally. That's really the takeaway. And I felt it was very important to get people to clock that. But again, I was able to use the journalist's journey as a way to get that information across, because these are revelations they were having. Like, oh, it's not just about tax evasion, it's about systemic corruption.